My name is Morten, and this is my journey into photographing the stars and deep sky objects. Today I'm going to show you my equipment, my mount, telescope, guide scope, etc. How I put everything together and why, and hopefully that will give you some tips for assembling your own astrophotography equipment. So, I want to tell you a little bit about my equipment. First of all, I have the SkyWatcher HEQ5 Pro mount. I think that is a good mount. It can handle a fair amount of weight. As you can see on the tripod, I've mounted some accessories. On this side, I have a regular power distribution box that I use. This will allow me to run exactly one cable from the mount, and that is the power cable. Right now I have an extra cable that's just for lighting purposes for this video, and it's not normally used. I have two power supplies. I actually bought a 12 volt 150 watts 15 amp power supply that is capable of supplying the mount, my dew heaters and my mini PC, and I've also soldered a couple of adapters here to be able to distribute the power to everything that's needed. I also have a 5 volt power supply, and I'm actually only using that for my USB hub at the moment. As for controlling everything, I have a Beelink PC. It's running Windows 10. It's an Intel Core i3 with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of SD hard drive. I only have the 12 volt power connector and one USB cable. And this is easily detached, just like that. I can remove it and take it inside, and I can also mount it to my mount as one of the last things, so it is not affected by the cold weather as much. Moving up to my scope, I have the SkyWatcher Evostar 80 ED, and I've mounted an extra long dovetail, as you can see here, because this scope is not so heavy, and with the original dovetail it was only attaching to about a third on the mount, and that was not optimal. On top of this, I have another dovetail and the mounting bracket for the SkyWatcher Evoguide 50 ED. On both of the scopes, I have dew heaters. On top of the main scope, I have the dew heater cables attached. Not very pretty, I know. I might shorten these in the future. The dew heater cables are connected to a high-tech Astro mini dew controller. This is a basic and simple 2-channel controller that will allow me to power the dew heaters. It works well. I have adapted the end of this to be able to accommodate for a regular DC plug 12 volt. On the back of my guide scope, I have the ASI 120mm mini guide camera. That is connected with a USB cable to my USB hub. The USB hub is the heart of the operation, so to speak. I have the guide camera, I have the main camera, I have connection to the PC, and I have connection to my autofocuser from ZWO. The ZWO autofocuser was easy to mount. I have a separate video about this, and that is connected to my USB hub up here using a very short, I think 30 centimeter or maybe 20 USB cable. For my main imaging, I'm using the Canon EOS 60D, and as you can see, I have the reducer flattener 0.85x, and then I have the standard adapter to fit my camera. From my camera, I have one USB cable going up to my USB hub, and I also have a specialized battery dummy that goes up to a power supply that I have here. And I have actually cut this and soldered two connectors to be able to split this to remove this entire USB hub assembly that is connected to my finder scope mount on my telescope. That will allow me to very easily remove this entire assembly by just disconnecting the guide camera, the main camera, the dew heaters, and the autofocuser. And then this will be separated from my scope entirely, and I can take that inside. For my main imaging camera, I'm using the Canon 60D. And since I don't want to be swapping out batteries during the evening, I have inside of this a battery dummy that goes down to a power supply. And the battery dummy needs to be routed out through a small hole in the back of the camera, and that goes up to a power distribution connection that I have up here. This allows me to disconnect this one without removing any of this cabling. Once the camera is powered on, I don't actually have to change anything on it, as long as I'm keeping to the bulb setting here. And that allows me to take my light frames and my dark frames and everything except for flat frames. That actually will need me to adjust this to another setting to be able to take the flat frames. In order to use this mount and control it through my PC, I set the hand controller to a PC direct mode. Since on this mount there's a USB connection on the hand controller, that actually goes up to my USB hub, and then it goes into my imaging PC that's mounted to my mount. I don't actually do any settings at all. I just click through the initialization of the hand controller, and then I set the PC direct mode by selecting utility and scrolling up or down to PC direct mode, and then click enter. And that will give me full control over this mount through my PC. For polar alignment, I have tried doing it the manual way. I live pretty far up north. Last night this mount was mounted on a location that was on a slight slope. That's why it's a bit higher now. But I'm living at about 63 degrees. And this will allow me to do polar alignment with these adjustment knobs over here and down here. Like I said, I don't actually use the manual way by removing this and looking through my scope, my polar alignment scope. I actually use my guide camera and the SharpCap Pro software. This is the mini PC that I'm using to control my equipment. I can do that from inside my house or from any device that has a Wi-Fi connection and the software, the Chrome Remote Desktop installed. But the first thing that you need to do if you have an equatorial mount is to install the SCOM platform that will enable this mount to talk to your PC and to other applications and software on it. You might also need to go to the other manufacturers' websites to get these drivers. You can also download and install a couple of Stellar cartographies. One popular is Stellarium, another is the Cartes du Ciel. So download and install that. I will go to telescope and telescope settings, make sure that I have the SCOM driver selected. I will connect to my telescope and it will be green. Right now it's parked inside my garage. That's why we're not able to slew to anything right now. But if I zoom out here, I see that my telescope is parked at my home position since last night, and I can actually just click on different targets here and right click, and I can slew to a target. That will make the telescope move and point to that position. Next step is an acquisition software. This is astrophotography tool. I will also do a more in-depth video about that. But if you have everything connected, you will go up to the gear tab and you will click connect scope, and that will use your SCOM driver. I can also connect to focusers and other equipment that I might have available. As you can see, the SCOM driver, or in this instance my EQ mod for the HEQ5 Pro, is automatically opened when I click that button. And right now my telescope is parked. There are of course other popular software like the Nina, for example, maybe the Sequence Generator Pro. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this content and want to see more of it, please consider subscribing to this channel and click the button to get a notification on when new content is published. If you want to see something else, please leave a comment in this video and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Until the next video, I wish you all clear skies.